I'm Armando, and I will be refuting the claim that music streaming services have a significant negative impact on the music industry. The secondary claims that were given by Granger were that music streaming services are harming the artists based on these sites. Music streaming services have a negative effect on record stores and the availability of music through a physical medium, and music streaming services negatively affect the production of physical music. My response to this first secondary claim is that artists and the music industry are not being harmed by music streaming, but instead they're actually being harmed by the illegal downloading of music and videos and stuff like that. His evidence showing that Spotify only pays pennies to viewing is actually incorrect, as it does not go too much by viewing, but the popularity of the music or the song that's being presented. And according to Spotify's own website, and the evidence that he himself used, was that Spotify's revenue pays out 70% of the revenue that is given out. This is up to, they've given out $3 billion throughout their whole life. Spotify, of the $3 billion, $300 million were actually given out during the first few months of 2015. And instead of paying, the artists, as he says that the artists are being harmed, they're not paying the artists, but they're actually paying the right owners and the owners of that music. So if the artist has no rights to that music, it's his own fault, his or her own fault. My response to the secondary claim is that Granger stated that music is slowly becoming less likely to be heard and people have a less variety of music. This is completely untrue, as according to Music Business Worldwide, through one of the articles, it actually stated that of all the music that is out there, there's over 12 million songs throughout 400 different mediums. This is a this is a lot more music than you can find at any regular record store. He also states that music stores and record stores have actually been in decline for music. He states that music stores and record stores have been in decline because of music streaming. This is incorrect, as music stores and record stores have been in decline before music streaming. And this is according to Forbes magazine, an article written by Hugh McIntyre, where he states that record stores have actually been closing in droves for over decades, and this is because of larger retail stores such as Walmart and Target and Barnes & Noble. His third secondary claim states that music streaming services negatively affect the production of physical music. This is also incorrect, as according to Music Business Worldwide, there were 14 million CDs that were sold in the U.S. in 2014. It's understandable where music production of physical music is actually decreasing. It's not instead decreasing, but the way that it is being viewed is changing. Instead of music, CDs and tapes and all that being used as regular forms of getting music, they're actually being used more as souvenirs from concerts. And that piece of evidence was also given by Forbes magazine, where stating that music and CDs and all that are actually changing in the way that they're viewed by the public. That's it. Thank you. I hope you can see that it's actually not music streaming that's having the effect on the music industry, but instead it is other factors in that industry.
All right, the structural stuff is all fine. You signpost clearly, so I know where you are. You're basically presenting a counterclaim on causality for the most part, suggesting that there are other reasons that account for the problems that are being cited. For instance, on the first point, it's not the revenues are distributed based on who has the rights. That's a counterclaim on that particular point. I don't know what the situation was by comparison with artists getting money based on their their sales, or for instance on radio play. So we don't really get a very good piece of comparative data here that's an assertion here that there is a particular problem. I don't remember what the advocate's evidence on this point was. Your evidence seems to suggest that some money is going out. I don't know how significant it is. $3 billion, that doesn't sound like well, it sounds like a good chunk of change to me, but for the whole music industry, it doesn't sound like it's particularly significant. So I don't know what percentage of the music industry it represents. I think that could be a little bit stronger. The second argument seems to be that there are all kinds of explanations for why music is being distributed differently. I thought that you had a nice piece of statistical information that talks about how much music is available, the different media in which it's available, that suggests increased access rather than less access. I don't remember what the advocate's reasoning and evidence on this point was, and I think that you probably needed to do a little bit more contrast on that so that we could see how your argument responds to that particular point. On the record store issue, though, you've got a very straightforward counterclaim. You've got good evidence on that particular point. On the physical media, I don't know, 14 million CDs sold in 2014. That doesn't, we don't get any comparative data, so I don't know. That sounds to me like a lot less than once upon a time. But your argument seems to be that they're getting access to music in other ways, they're consuming it in other ways, and I think that that's probably good. But the question then goes back to those first couple of points: is their consumption in these different ways having a negative effect? And I think it's a little circular at this point. I thought it was easy to follow your argument. I thought you had good counterclaims and a pretty good summary. I think you needed a little bit more contrast with the evidence and reasoning of the advocate. All right.